1,500 people in Sicily have been forced from their homes after a huge landslide. The 4-kilometer-long slide began on Sunday after a cyclone blew through the area.
On January 27, 2026, civil protection engineers in Sicily delivered an announcement that changed everything. What had first appeared to be a serious but manageable landslide near the town of Nishimi was officially reclassified as a crisis with the potential to force partial, or even permanent, abandonment of the community. This was not a simple cliff collapse. It was something far more dangerous, far more unpredictable, a deep-seated rotational landslide, extending 40 to 60 meters beneath the surface and actively propagating backward toward the town's center. With an estimated 350 million cubic meters of earth in motion, the scale surpassed even Italy's infamous 1963 Vajont disaster. And most alarming of all, it was not stopping. Chapter 1. When a landslide refuses to stabilize. Unlike typical slope failures, the Nishimi landslide showed no signs of slowing. Civil protection officials expanded the danger zone to nearly 25 square kilometers, warning that the current red zone, roughly 150 meters inland and 400 meters wide, was likely to grow. Engineers could not predict where the failure would end. Estimates suggested the slip surface could retreat another 150 meters or more, threatening large portions of the urban center. More than 1,500 residents from over 500 families were evacuated. Some homes now hang directly over the collapsing edge. Vehicles have already fallen into the void. Italy's Civil Protection Department issued an unusually blunt warning. This was a landslide of extraordinary magnitude, and engineering solutions could not stop it. Chapter 2. Why rotational landslides are different. Most landslides involve shallow soil slipping downhill along surfaces close to the slope. These events, while destructive, often stabilize and can be mitigated using retaining walls, drainage systems, or slope regrading. Rotational landslides operate on a completely different scale. Their failure surface is curved, shaped like a giant spoon buried deep within the hillside. As the mass slides, it rotates backward, causing the upper ground to drop and destabilize areas that previously appeared safe. This backward movement, known as retrogressive failure, allows the landslide to consume land hundreds of meters inland over time. This is why rotational landslides are so dangerous. They don't stop where you expect them to. Chapter 3. The Hidden Geology. Beneath Nishimi, geotechnical investigations revealed a deceptive underground structure. The surface layer appeared stable, strong enough to support buildings, roads, and decades of development. But beneath it lay a dangerous combination. Water-sensitive sand and clay layers with low cohesion when saturated. These layers trap water, increasing pore pressure, which reduces the friction holding the ground together. Once saturation reaches a critical threshold, these deep layers lose strength catastrophically, transforming into a lubricated slip plain capable of moving massive blocks of earth. The town looked stable for generations. Underground, it never truly was. Chapter 4. The Storm That Triggered Collapse. Storm. Harry delivered the final trigger. Between January 12th and January 15th, more than 500 millimeters of rain fell across the region, an extreme event by any historical standard. Water infiltrated the upper layers and accumulated deep below, rapidly increasing pore pressure. On January 16th, surface cracks and ground deformation appeared, but the real damage was invisible. A curved failure surface formed 40 to 60 meters below ground, initiating slow but relentless backward movement. By January 25th, cracks emerged 100 to 150 meters inland. Monitoring equipment recorded millimeters to centimeters of movement per day, with no deceleration trend, a clear signal that stabilization had not begun. Chapter 5. Life inside the expanding red zone. This disaster did not strike in a single moment. It unfolded slowly, turning daily life into prolonged uncertainty. More than 1,500 residents from over 500 families were evacuated as the danger zone expanded inland. Some were given only minutes to leave, while others later returned under firefighter escort to retrieve belongings from homes still standing but no longer safe. Utilities were shut down to prevent secondary disasters. Roads were closed as ground movement continued beneath them. Residents watched from barriers as cracks widened and buildings tilted, unsure whether their homes would survive another day or another week. Businesses inside the red zone faced impossible decisions: relocate with no guarantee of safety or remain closed and lose everything. The psychological toll was immense, as people waited for answers that no one could give. Chapter 6. When engineering reaches its limits. Engineers deployed extensive monitoring systems to track the landslide's movement. GPS stations measured displacement. Inclinometers detected deep subsurface rotation. Drones and satellites confirmed that the failure was still propagating inland. The data was clear. The landslide was active and unstable. What the data could not provide was a solution. Retaining walls could not reach a failure surface tens of meters deep. Drainage systems would require thousands of wells across kilometers of unstable terrain. Soil anchors and reinforcement techniques were simply ineffective at this scale. The conclusion was unavoidable. This landslide cannot be stopped by engineering. It will continue until natural equilibrium is reached. Until then, the only viable response is monitoring, evacuation, and preparing for permanent loss. A warning written in stone Nisemi is not an isolated case. Italy records over 620,000 landslides, the highest concentration in Europe. Climate change is increasing the frequency of extreme rainfall. Urban expansion has pushed communities onto marginal land. Aging infrastructure is failing under new stresses. The Nisemi landslide exposes a sobering truth. Some communities are built on geology that cannot be engineered into safety once extreme conditions are triggered. Monitoring continues. The ground moves millimeter by millimeter. The red zone expands, and more than 1,500 people remain displaced, with no clear timeline for return. All landslides eventually stabilize. The question is how much of Nisemi will be lost before that happens, and how many other towns across the Mediterranean are quietly standing on the same edge. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening, like the video, share it, and subscribe for more in-depth disaster analysis.